This is the leaning now. This is the leaning podcast.
This is we're all leaning into the microphones. This is one of those.
This is when we start ASMR.
I forgot. It's one of you two hosting today, too.
This is your host pod.
What?
Is it one of those? I mean, this mic doesn't do that, obviously, right? What? You know, the left to right.
Oh my god!
You're welcome.
My other mic, you could kind of do that. I mean, the other mixer, because you can like turn the knob from left to right.
Yeah.
So you could just talk and just like pan
So
it.
you're telling me the $600 mixer is worse than the...
No.
That $1,000.
The $200 mixer.
That mixer has seen some shit.
What, mine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it has.
We've only used it everywhere.
Yeah, it's seen some shit. That's the one I used to take over to Josh's too when we were recording and stuff.
So my computer's probably just as beat up as your fucking mixer.
What happened to your laptop, my dude? Like, why is the outline of it?
Because so my computer used to, what would I say? The screen broke, so I had to replace the screen. So it used to have that little border that keeps it in. But I guess when I put it in, I didn't fully center it exactly.
Oh, you replaced it yourself.
Yeah. So when I closed the things, one side wouldn't close. So it kind of fucked up both sides. So I just broke them off, and I'm like, good enough. No one sees it.
I see it. I guess you could just like do the black electrical tape.
Oh, yeah, it fucking look ugly. I think it's better that way.
It probably looks so much worse.
It adds character.
It's had many years. We just hope it doesn't explode during the podcast.
At some point.
At least the screen's still like...
Oh, yeah, screen's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't like... I'm just going to open all the way.
It's a good screen. It's expensive as fuck.
You'd hope so, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'd hope it'd be a good screen for all that.
Yeah. So when are you upgrading? In like 3 years?
When it like my car catches on fire, that's what my computer's gonna do. I'm like, it's time for a new one.
What if your car and your computer go at the same time?
That's a lot of money all at the same time, is what I'm gonna say.
Like your laptop's gonna be in the car when your car catches on fire.
No, I'm gonna go back in for it. Is what's gonna happen? It's gonna be on fire. I'm like, I need it. I
can't. A paramedic holding him. No, it's not working. No, let me get it.
Well, it's like, you know, when you're on an airplane and they say, in case of emergency, leave your carry-on and just exit the vehicle. I'm like, nah, this is my carry-on, man. I got $2,000 worth of equipment I can't let burn up in here.
It's like when they say, like, children and women first. You're like, no, my laptop, and then children.
Laptop goes
Laptop, first. Children, women, me. Everybody else.
Welcome to another episode.
Wait, now I'm thinking about it. So they say children and women first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, does grandma count as a woman?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's going to slow the whole thing down.
She lived her life. She could be
That's
lost.
what I said. It should be children, women, men, old people. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I feel like it should be like women and men, then children, then elderly. I'm like, the kids, what? They haven't lived.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You could make new. What do they contribute to society?
No.
Cut
Cancel
this, please.
This is the opening, man. I'm gonna cut the stuff about the computer and put that in.
Straight canceled.
Anyway,
Straight canceled.
start the damn episode.
Welcome to another episode of Thought Rap. I'm your host, Bob.
I'm your host, the Ed Boy.
I'm a co-host, Forrest.
We have two hosts.
We have two hosts. Double host.
This is the double interview of Forrest.
I'm ready.
So, Forrest.
Oh, I got a story to tell before we start. This is perfect.
Oh, okay.
So last week, you know, we don't hang out on Sunday. It's my like get out of town day. Relax.
Sure, yeah.
You don't get out of town.
I don't. I stay at my house, but I go shopping. So I was like, I want to get lunch at Smith's. So I normally like I'll either get sushi or something quick and easy. So I was like, I went down the microwave meal area, and I was like, you know what? I saw White Castle burgers.
Oh no!
So I bought the little tray. It comes with like 9 or something.
Did you eat all 9?
I think it took me like 2 or 3 days. I don't know. But I bought the little thing, and I'm like, you know, I haven't had these in forever. So I put it in the microwave and heated it up because that's one of the ways you can do it. But that reminded me of a time when I think I was like 13, 14. We'd go paintballing up in Pennsylvania. And there was this one place we'd stop for food. It was like, it had Chinese hamburgers and stuff. But this place said it had
Chinese hamburgers.
So this place said it had White Castle in there. So we walked in, and I'm like, I'm poor. And I'm like, I can afford probably like a slider or two. And I'm like, where is this White Castle? I can't find it. And there's a little sign in the Chinese window. Like, it's almost like a food court. So the Chinese place had it. So I'm like, I go up to it. I'm looking around. And it's like, oh, what do you want? And I see the White Castle thing. I'm like, I want some White Castle burgers. And they're like, okay, we'll be blah, blah, blah. We'll bring it out to you. And I'm just, standing there waiting. And I hear in the back, then close it. Beep, beep, beep. And I'm like, they're just motherfucking microwaving me White Castle burgers.
How old were you?
I was at like 13, 14. I'm sitting there like,
you still ate them?
of course, dude. I was so hungry. I don't think I ate anything that whole day. And I'm like,
Jesus.
I'm like, oh well.
That is the quality of White Castle.
It's a Chinese.
Aren't they pretty cheap? Chinese.
Yeah,
It's
like,
Chinese White Castle, as you said.
So much cheap.
Also, I didn't hear like the comment. It was like, I got Chinese burgers.
Chinese
We got
burgers.
Chinese, and there was hamburgers.
The Chinese burgers. That's what
Chinese
those
burgers,
were.
Whatever,
Chinese White
whatever that
Castle.
is.
were. Well, White Castle is rat burgers. And
Yeah,
some
I
Chinese
mean-
food, I don't want to know what the meat is.
Yeah. You're taking a gamble sometimes. Good question.
Rolling the dice.
If you were to reincarnate into an anime movie, which movie would you reincarnate in?
Am I like the main character or the side character?
You are the side character. I feel like if you were the main character, you get all the OP powers. So he's gonna make it fair. You're the side character.
I'm a side character.
Yeah.
Trying to think
You're
of
in this
I'm
universe.
trying to think of a movie where the side character dies in a horrible way, because that's knowing my luck. That's what would happen. I'd be reincarnated.
Grave of the Firefly.
Yep, that's I'm the side character in that.
This corner of the world or whatever.
Yep. All the sad stuff.
Oof. Ponyo?
I've never watched Ponyo.
You don't want to reincarnate as a little fish.
Ooh, dude, I can be a fish person.
You can be a fish person.
That means if I fuck someone, I'm a mermaid.
I don't think you are.
I don't think that's how it works.
But you said I'm the fish person.
Yeah, you're the fish person.
So I'm a mermaid.
No,
Merman.
You know what you're
Sorry.
like? It's like what's it called? What is that episode of like Family Guy forever ago, where Lois gets saved by the half man, half fish person, but
What
the
is like
bottom
the top?
bottom half is man and the top half is fish.
That's what I would be.
What movie would you reincarnate in?
I mean, I wouldn't mind being like some random yokai and like Spirited Away.
Ooh, that would be a good one. That's a good one.
If I'm a side character,
Wait.
that means I'm like some random spirit.
You're gonna reincarnate dead.
I'm already dead, right? we're just going to a different place.
You're gonna reincarnate into a human that can see yokai.
I feel like any of the Ghibli movies, any of the-
He's gonna die twice
Yeah.
to become a yokai.
But not all yokais are dead.
What? I thought that's what they were. Like they're ghosts.
Are they?
yeah.
That's just their word for ghost. I think.
I'm gonna Google it.
I Google it.
Because I thought yokai, in essence, they're in the same space as what you would consider like the Fey folk in Irish mythology.
Yeah, so they were yokai are a class of supernatural entities of spirits in Japanese folklore.
Yeah, exactly. So
it could be
I
anything,
think they would
really.
occupy the same space as like fairies and gnomes and all that stuff in Celtic mythology. Is how I always considered it. Obviously, there's branches off and there's ideas in there that all is what we consider like the horror elements, right? Or like just
The horror elements.
the horror elements.
I like those elements.
Like the kitsune and whatever the other ones are.
Those are horror
The
elements.
horror elements.
Can I be a yokai in D&D?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Those are what my
Whatever the
pets are.
fuck you want. That's what all his pets are.
But what movie do you want to be reincarnated in?
Shit.
That's not a good movie. Because the side character shit is normally pissed.
Ghost in the Shell.
You want to be in Ghost in the Shell?
He wants to be, what's his name? The big dude with one eye. Because he's the side character.
I just want to be in that
technically.
universe. The universe looks badass.
I don't know if I want to be in that universe because I feel like you're either like a cop or someone higher up, or you're in the slums.
I feel like
like
it's
most cyberpunk is.
yeah, exactly. It's the idea of like I want to be in Blade Runner, so you want to be in a polluted planet that's like on the verge of extinction. There just happens to be robots
And pretty lights.
So
as I suffocate in this toxic air, my last sight is pretty lights.
I mean, we could just go to Japan and see the same thing. And
But you
that's
won't-
not really an issue,
But
right?
you're gonna say like China or
That's
something.
what I would have thought too. But you won't suffocate though, because you'll have robotic lungs. It just filters
true.
out all the soot.
I don't even have to go anywhere. Just stay here and
you think
breathe all the
you think he'd be able to
smoke.
afford robotic lungs?
No,
What if I do in that universe?
we just cross the border down below. They'll do it for free. You just lose like a kidney or something, but it's a fair trade.
You do a kidney for lungs? It's pretty fair.
Maybe you get one lung.
I don't
for
know
a
what the
kidney.
market value is.
I'll Google that too.
I think
There
a
is a
kidney's
market
I
value.
think a kidney's like $50,000 is what I heard last.
How much would a lung be?
I don't know.
Can I live with one lung?
Yes.
No. Can
Yes,
oh,
you
you can
can.
because you can have one
You can
collapse or
donate.
whatever.
Yeah, you can donate
right.
a lung. You can donate a
Can
kidney.
donate a lung.
Well, kidney
Donate
was
part of
easy.
your liver because it can regrow. Well,
Livers regenerate.
Yeah.
So you think a lung is more like expensive than a kidney?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
I say it's more important. So
Is it?
maybe donate half your heart if you want.
I don't think that one works that way, my man.
Half
we-
my heart.
Have we tried?
Does it regrow?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's how that one works.
Anyway, so I think today we're going to be talking about anime movies and I think we're going to do our top 5. Maybe top 20 by the end of it.
No. I only have 5.
We have 5?
I only have 5.
That's sad, man. You not watch movies?
I do, but like these are my favorite. I don't
So-
have many favorite.
Oh,
Well, I had an issue towards the end trying to figure out what I would say my top 8.
The only issue of mine is that they're not in order.
But
do
you
you
can
mean
put
by-
them in order at some point
At
so
some-
I can make my list nice and easy.
yeah. You should do that.
I'll do that real quick. You go first.
You want me to go first?
You
Sure.
go.
Let's have Forrest go
Okay.
first.
Yeah.
Well,
All
I drew
right.
something up for mine and Eddie's because I know his already.
Yep.
I can show it to us. So it goes in from a order. Is this on the screen? It kind of is, but who cares? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd argue. So
That's Eddie's.
this is
No,
mine.
this is his.
Oh.
You think this
There's-
is Eddie's?
there's
There's
gonna-
like 2
Dude, you
cyberpunk.
copied me.
I copied you. You have Kiki's at number 5.
Dude, Kiki's number 1.
Guys, he just said the biggest lie of his life.
You ever see a man lie to you right to your face?
So it'll be up.
Let me say I get to the camera. Kiki's number 1.
Why'd you laugh? Anyway, so it'll be up here, but for people that are just listening, you can listen to our podcast now. A little shout out. So Your Name at number 1, Ghost in the Shell at number 2. I have Redline at 3. I have the Ava
Rebuild
series, and then I have Kiki's Delivery Service at 5.
Okay.
It's a pretty solid list. I mean,
I haven't seen Redline.
Oh, you haven't seen Redline?
That looks American to me.
it's so good.
So I have a funny story about that movie too.
Oh,
Because a lot of times I watch stuff in the van or at work because
Yeah.
I don't have time as much at home. So I was like, I'll put Redline on and I'll put it in the van. And this was the time when his dad was working with me. So I'm sitting in the van and I put it like in the center so people in the back can kind of see it. Like it's
Yeah.
still playing through my
Yeah.
headset or whatever. And I think he was just looking at his phone. He looked up. There's a scene where you see tits. And he looks over. He's like, nice. And I'm just like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know what to say here, but it was
that sounds like something you would do. Which is
You would
nice.
say that.
He's like, nice. He's like, what do you watch? I'm like, it's called Redline. It's about racing, and you just saw tits, I guess. But
Red Light's a great movie.
Better than Initial D.
ooh, Initial D is
I don't know,
good,
but
but I haven't seen Initial D in
But
forever.
I don't think Initial D has like the red light animation. Because
Well, no, it's all shit.
exactly.
Redline's what? 2000s?
Yeah, it's like
early
2000.
2000s?
It's early thousands.
Yeah.
But the animation Redline's so good.
I think Redline's really good. I think the art style is really great because it has that like it's still hand drawn and old looking, but it is made in the newer years. I guess if that makes sense. But I think the story is actually really good for
what it is.
It's racing basically, and they just do it in a good
Fast
story.
and Furious.
It's like it's better sci-fi death race is basically what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Where people have just like fucking ridiculous ass pimped out sci-fi cars and there's aliens and
Is Exhibit in this movie?
Shit.
He is. He's
No,
voiced,
he is.
he's voiced by Van Damme.
I thought you were
Weird.
Vin Diesel.
Exhibit voiced by Van Damme.
It makes sense.
Yes, totally.
Oh no! So when I was going through my top 5, I did have some like in the background that I couldn't think. I think the other two that I had, I know one was
your runner-ups.
Yeah, one was Paprika,
Paprika's so good.
and I don't know if I have the other one on here because I've written it down somewhere.
Paprika's so
You forget the name, bro.
I don't have it on here.
He did forget the name.
Oh, I had like Summer Wars, I think, on there.
That one's also really good
But
too.
I think it was one of the quicker ones I cut off because it's a good movie, but I don't think it's better than any of these. The only one that I could change would be Kiki's on here.
What? This man.
Because I do think like
That's your like favorite movie.
it's up there. But it's like Princess Mononoke is really good.
Bro, but Kiki's your
Nausicaa.
favorite.
Yeah, that's why
Ghibli
that's why I
movie.
put it because I'm like I need a Ghibli movie because I love Ghibli, so I chose Kiki's. But it could cycle through. I say like 2 or 3.
Damn.
But I think mine's pretty basic. Besides probably Redline would I'd say is more unusual.
He's
But I
a
feel
changed man.
like as basic.
No, you're a changed man.
Nah, it's not changed at all. But the only issue also is Ava on here. I haven't seen the new one, so I can't tell you
Dude, the new
if
one,
it's gonna move up.
it's gonna break it or make it for me.
That's what I said. It's either gonna move up to 3.
Yep.
It's either gonna move up to 3 or down to 5.
I've been waiting for 20 years. Okay, not 20 years. Been
So you're
waiting
not
for
even 20.
been waiting about 9.
About 9.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
'Cause-
Almost 10 years. Fuck.
Remember when we were like, yeah, man, he'll release it in 2015 because you know that's when the
it
the
makes
shit
sense.
happens
Yeah.
and it makes sense. It's been 6 years since then.
Also, Bob, you see, there's no trigger on here. Are you happy?
Yeah, no
I'm
trigger.
disappointed.
You just it wasn't even in my top 10.
I'm
I don't
disappointed
think.
Premiere is not there.
It wasn't even in like I was looking through my list of movies and I don't even think it was even like a thought. Like I like it as a movie,
Wow.
but I don't think it's anywhere close to like half the movies I
Your
wrote
favorites?
down. But
Okay, this is my trash taste. Okay,
hey,
what?
wait, what?
My-
We can't say that one on here.
is that what's copyrighted?
We don't want to be we're not stealing their thing.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I
No.
don't watch their podcast that often.
Who?
Okay. So number 1 is Summer Wars.
Oh, your number
Oh,
one
mine
is
is
Summer
Summer
Wars.
Wars.
I would not
Interesting.
have guessed that.
That is not what I thought was going to come up.
Number 2 is the end of Evangelion.
That's what I thought would be
We
number
thought
1.
that would be number 1. We were like, it's gonna be number 1.
Interstellar.
5, 5,
5, 5, 5.
so good.
It's
I
number
forgot.
3.
Okay.
Perfect Blue is number 4.
Okay.
Okay,
And
that
Ghost
makes
in the
sense.
Shell is number 5.
God damn it, our lists are so close.
So A,
Fuck you, Eddie.
So close.
we all have Ghost in the Shell on here.
In
as
different
one
It's
of our
really
lists.
good.
Yeah.
And we all have an Ava on here.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. But our lists are so close.
Damn it, Eddie.
They're just in different order. No. Only 3 of ours are the same. They're just in different places.
You have 2 different ones?
Uh-huh. Then you.
Oh, okay.
He
okay.
does. I don't know. I said I feel like going through the movies because I was going through my movies I've seen, and there's a lot of movies out there, but there's a lot of just like TV show movies that I didn't really want to put on here.
Yeah, they didn't want to
Yeah.
put like
It's like Psycho-Pass movies good, but I don't want
Yeah.
to put it in my top 5 as like
Yeah.
a movie by itself. I try to find somewhat standalone. I guess the only one that wouldn't be is either Ava
Ava's
or
the big
Ghost in
one,
the
yeah.
Shell.
Well,
Well, there is other Ghost in the Shell
there is,
stuff.
but the movie was first.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if anything, standalone complex and all that stuff would be
That's true.
afterthoughts.
I mean,
I was
like, do I put the Dragon Ball Broly movie? Man,
Yeah, I think he talked about that too.
It's pretty good.
I'm like, he might do that.
It's not canon, but okay.
No, because, what was the other one?
Not the new one. I'm just kidding.
I was gonna put the
I know.
OG one,
I
yeah.
know.
Oh,
which
Eden
one
v
you were-
East was like a good
Those
thought of
movies are pretty
mine.
good.
Because did you watch
Yeah,
those?
pretty good. Well, yeah.
But I don't know. It's a Silent Voice was the other one that I was thinking of putting on my top
I like
5.
it, but it's not.
It's really tilting, and I think it pulls out a lot of emotion. That's why I would put it on there. Like, I wouldn't say
Makes
it's a movie. I don't think any of these movies.
That didn't make me sad though.
Did you? Yeah? No? You got fucked up insides, man.
I guess I'm just.
Dude, she got fucking bullied. That was like the whole first half was like depressing, and then the second half wasn't as depressing because it, it's supposed to be the other curve.
I feel like I've seen more depressing animes, and you're just like, oh, this is fucked up. Yeah.
I think fucked up's different than just depressing.
I don't know. Whisker Away was more sad than to me, I guess.
Was it?
I thought Whisker Away was like,
That was more wholesome.
it was wholesome, more wholesome at the end, I'd argue.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was pretty sad. But I don't know if I consider it the most sad. Because
makes
Silent
sense.
Voice is up there. I'm gonna go through my list. Pancreas was pretty sad,
I want to eat your pancreas.
which was funny too because he had to pee at the end, so he wasn't sad. He's just like, I gotta pee, but it's not over.
It's for the last like half hour of that movie. When it's when it's supposed to hit you in the feels. I'm sitting there like, I'm supposed to feel some stuff, man, but I don't feel anything. All I feel is a wild urge to go take a piss.
Have you seen that movie?
No.
I'm gonna just. You want me to spoil it?
I know what's about. Like,
So-
it's already been spoiled.
It's already-
Well, it's kind of obvious. So the girl has pancreatic cancer. Blah, blah, blah. She's gonna die at some point. So the ending pisses me off so much. So she dies, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
But she doesn't die from cancer. She gets fucking mugged and stabbed. It's like, why? What? Just let her die. Like,
That's the M. Night Shyamalan twist.
There's the
dude.
twist.
It's the twist.
Because it was like, oh, she died. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I'm not super sad by being stabbed. And you're like,
But it's
what the
way she
fuck?
died.
Why?
It's
I
weird.
had so much issues with that ending.
It's like with the Bunny Girl Senpai movie. I'm like, I know the tilt's coming. So predictable. Then it happens. You're like, oh, yep. That's how I thought it would.
this is where it is. I think I almost feel like to a certain degree though it's like worse when you know like how like that it's coming because the entire time you're like tense because you're just waiting for because I think if you know it's going to happen but you don't know when it's going to happen the entire time you're just kind of like fuck man I want to see where is it I'm bracing myself where is it
The one when I didn't do that, it was Your Lie in April.
Oh,
Like you
okay.
see the ending, like the first 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah.
So when it happens, you're like, oh, cool. She died, just like I thought 20 weeks ago.
20 weeks ago.
How'd you guess?
Yeah, so when it was like, oh my gosh, the anime's so sad. I'm like, nah, predictable. We all knew it was gonna happen.
See, stuff like that is like,
But it's
To
a
me-
show, so I guess that's
yeah.
different.
to me, it's sad. Like if you know you're gonna die, it's sad because you can see the ending coming no matter
yeah.
what. But it feels like you get that feels like they can't do anything about it. So you're trying to like in pancreas. I want to eat your pancreas.
Yeah.
It's basically her trying to live her as much as she can within that short time period. And she's like, I can't do anything about what will happen, which is sad.
Yeah.
But then you're like, at least, you know how it's going to end. It won't be too bad when it does happen. And then she gets stabbed, and you're like, what the fuck? Who wrote this?
Why you gotta debate me like this? Why you like this?
But
But it was fine.
To me, it's like when it comes out of nowhere, like in Clanad. Spoilers.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
yeah, guys. Yeah.
Because
not
it's so
gonna- he's not gonna watch it.
it's so happy.
He's so happy.
The first season is like any other rom com. It's so
Yeah.
happy. The beginning
it
of
has
the
a little like sad moments here and there.
Yeah.
Like a rom-com.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like,
The second season, the beginning of it, it's still good. It's on the up and up. We good.
And then it just. I'm like, whoa, okay.
And
And
it
then it gets a little wholesome again. Like, oh my god, yeah, it's coming.
And then
It's
it just-
redeeming himself,
boom.
and then just
Boom.
bruh,
And it just keeps beating you down.
straight depression.
Yeah, I think that's how you should kind of do depression. You need like that weird wave of like, happy, sad, happy, sad.
It's like there's no way his life could get worse.
And it just keeps going, and it just beats you further and further down.
To me, that's all that is. It's just depression. I don't want to watch something that's just depressing.
It's so much worse because like the beginning is just so happy, and now it's to the point. The song, man. That first opening, the opening of the season that's wholesome.
Is
just
that
takes a whole new the closing.
The closing.
The ending of the it just takes a whole new meaning. And every time I hear it now, I'm just like,
now I'm instantly depressed.
I'm just depressed.
You're
now.
welcome. I guess last one we can talk about real quick is Eddie's.
Self. All right. My number 5 is Redline.
Okay.
My number 4 is Jinro, which is really good. My number 3 is End of Evangelion. My number 2 is Perfect Blue. And then my number 1's Ghost in the Shell. Yeah, I said it's all so similar. Our picks are also similar.
You copied me, dude.
I was first.
I'm surprised there wasn't a random Gundam movie in there.
I was thinking of putting Char's Counterattack in there.
You know the one I thought about putting? It's the one. It's like there was a trilogy, and there was one, the dude is like named Friday or something like that.
Fuck.
Egg always does the music for the movies.
The Gundam movie?
No, you were thinking of Empire Corpses.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I like this
trilogy.
movie. I like the aesthetic of said movie, but I don't think I would count it as one of my favorite movies.
The one in my room. I'm like, I like this movie. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I was just going through my list, and there's some interesting ones. I said Yojiseki is a good movie, but it's another fucking thing. Girl Who Leapt Through Time is probably
that's one that I also had on my
one of my favorites
burner.
that I didn't put in there. I just thought it was a good story. I think the only issue I had was I can't remember if it was like the ending or something. Something made me a little bit confused. I can't remember what it was. It's been so long.
Time travel.
Pretty much. Well, kinda.
Yeah.
Because it's her about just going through backwards, right?
Yeah,
Keeps redoing shit until she can't because fuck her. I guess. I think that's what. I think that's what it was. I can't remember.
Travel.
I can't remember why she couldn't go back. Anymore.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
That's why I think I was confused. I was like,
I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah. I think another one I had on my back burner was Wolf Children.
Oh, that's pretty good too.
That one's really
I
good.
haven't seen that one yet.
That
Or
one-
I haven't seen
That
Boy
one's
and the
really
Beast.
good. That one's good too.
Sounds pretty good too.
Is it?
Yeah.
That one's a pretty good movie.
It's like I own all these movies, and I'm just like,
You
I should
own
watch
Yeah,
them?
he owns them. He has them.
I bought them for like super cheap on like Prime Day, like $10, $5, whatever. I'm like, fuck it, I'll just buy it. The problem is, it's like, who has time to put a DVD in
A Blu-ray.
or Blu-ray?
You have a PlayStation?
Yeah, I got also the internet, which is easier.
True.
So I'm just like, I always forget about it by then.
But I think it's funny how similar. I mean, the similar, I guess, tastes and stuff like that and different things.
I wonder if it's similar tastes or if it's just those are just masterpiece like movies.
Yeah, I mean that. I feel like that's true for a lot. Well, that's true pretty much for all of them, depending on who you ask on.
Because I'd argue
on
like
everything,
I like sci-fi, but it's
Yeah.
not my favorite genre.
Yeah.
But I have fucking Ghost in the Shell at 2, and I have Redline on there. I don't like mechas, but fucking Evangelion's in there. It's like
They're just really good movies.
just great
They're
movies.
just good movies. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird to see that our tastes in movies are the same, but in everything else,
It's so
we're
out there.
on way different scales. But as I said, is it the movie things? Like, is our top, I'd say 6 through 10? Would it be still similar?
It probably would be still to a certain degree.
Is there just not enough movies out there that are
No,
like
I mean-
standalone-ish?
I mean, there's a lot. Well, like I said, we also, there's criteria of whether for different series and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's why I shrunk it to.
Yeah. For instance, I mean, like when I was thinking of mine, I mean, I really like the Heaven's Feel movies, and that was something I considered as well because they're just amazing. The Kizumonogatari movies is another one that I was thinking of putting in there as one because technically it's pretty much a 3-hour thing if you wanted to go that way.
Yeah.
That's another one I wanted to put in there, which is obviously ones that I wouldn't see from your guys' side of the table. Nope. So
I've seen a couple of those. They're really good,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen the whole show. I haven't dove into just all the shows.
yeah. But I just mean because we're talking about movies because there is the films, right?
But I do wonder if it's standalone movies that are like that.
Yeah.
If you go through a lot of the standalone stuff that isn't from like the 1970s or 80s, it's very like it doesn't seem like there's a lot.
No, and that's the thing too. Like if we look at most of ours, they're all fairly dated to a certain degree.
So besides, like I think mine's probably the newest on here.
Your Name is probably the newest one that anyone has.
I don't remember your 5. Gotta write the picture.
What was
it.
your? You had
Summer Wars,
Summer Wars.
Summer Wars is probably another new one.
Yeah.
End of Evangelion,
Old.
Interstellar,
Old.
Interstellar's old.
Perfect Blue
Is old.
was in the show.
Old.
So yeah, between the 3 of us, we have 2 new movies. Is that
Everything else is older?
is that saying something about new movies?
They
Because
just
like,
they don't hit the same, dude.
because to me, I always thought this was a great movie. Your Name. I did like Weathering with You, but I wouldn't even put it in my top 10.
Yeah,
I like Your Name better than Weathering with You,
Yeah.
but Your Name is not like in my like all-time favorite.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
I mean, I think Makoto Shinkai makes very pretty movies.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're wonderful. Garden of Words is also very good. 5 centimeters per second is also very good. I think it's also just a different aesthetic and story feel. If you look at like, I feel there's a lot more slice of life-ish in modern film that isn't already attributed to a series, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because if we look at the movies that we watch outside of any other IP, right?
Okay.
That doesn't belong to an IP. The majority of those are either some form of a twist on a romance or a slice of life.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because it's contained and normally I think you can write it easier and quicker and
Probably.
not lose too much out.
When you go a little further back, I mean, I don't know. I mean, this might just be, like a bias of you only see certain things from that time period, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like there's a lot more variety in its like individual films. I mean, obviously Ghost in the Shell spawned standalone complex afterwards and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But when it came out, it's a pretty like new idea, especially coming in, the shadows of the new cyberpunk genre, right? With Blade Runner, which is the main pusher of that, right? And it's interesting when you look at those films too, because those older films, I don't know if it's going to be the same for new ones, but those old films are iconic, not only in the anime community, right? I mean, even if you look at modern day cinema, they borrow from those. The Matrix, I think even the Wachowski said that Ghost in the Shell is one of the major influences on the Matrix. There is scenes like in Perfect Blue that have been like shot for shot redone in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Inception is basically Paprika.
Yep.
Basically.
It is.
There's another movie. I think it's called Parallel in English or whatever, but it's just like a rip off of the anime.
Patem Inverted. Is that
Yeah,
that
that
one?
one.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's another good movie.
That was another good one I was thinking of. And then obviously things like Akira have such like a big impact on cinematographical style and stuff with colors and things like this. I mean, I'm not of the belief that there's no more innovation, because there's people like, oh, nothing new is different. And I don't believe that to be true. But at the same time, it's like you almost can't deny just like how influential some of those older mediums are as they came up. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, in the future, hindsight is, hindsight's 2020, and that might be different. But in the future, I don't know if I can really pinpoint a lot of films that'll have that same effect in the modern day. But
is that what you're voting? Like when you rank your movies, are you doing it on because of nostalgia, innovation?
It's a little
story.
bit it's a little bit of everything.
Same, because they made an impact.
Yeah,
because they're different.
Yeah, and not just an impact on the industry, but an impact on
like,
you.
On you, yeah, that's what I
you
meant.
Watched.
Yeah,
and that is part of the reason why I picked the ones I did. It's the ones that left an impression in my head where I know now it's like these things, and they just so happen to be in the genres that I enjoy.
I can see that.
I love the mecha genre. I mean, I did think of putting stuff like Pat Labor in there as well, that's also created by the guy who did Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
That's another series I thought putting in there. Some of the Macross movies I enjoy quite a bit because that's just a genre that I enjoy.
Yeah.
And I just feel like the ones that stood out the most is things like End of Evangelion and stuff like that, which is why it's there.
Because like if I'm thinking back on my list, I never thought about innovation.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, you know, I've watched newer, or I'm newer than both of you to anime, I would argue. So to me, innovation from the past is not a thing in my mind.
That makes sense.
Because it's like, oh, look what they did. Isn't that cool? It's like, I guess. Like, it was before my time, so it doesn't hurt me or make sense to me now why that old innovation matters to me now.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing I like to, a good similarity, a comparison that I like to do, because so Akira is such a big thing, right?
Sure.
It's not one of my favorite anime movies.
It's
I
okay.
recognize it for what it is. I mean, the greatest comparison that I can say to me in genres is something like Citizen Kane, which I don't think any of you guys have watched. But
That's just too old.
But Citizen Kane is lauded. It's considered to be this turning point in film. Right?
Yeah.
Some of the techniques they use, some of the ideas
Sure.
was revolutionary to the point that modern day film borrows more from what was introduced in Citizen Kane than things before it.
Yeah.
They did bring down their score
Yeah.
recently.
Oh yeah, because they found like
They found
a
a
50-year-old fucking
review.
review that gave it like an 8 or some shit and brought it down.
Whatever.
But I mean, I feel like those are movies that fill similar spaces
Sure.
in the sense that, you know, they're so popular and they're on lists and stuff. I feel like more of the impact than the actual film.
But does that hurt the film industry, do you think? Because now you have less innovation because like, oh, this movie did really good. So I'm going to spend all my money to make this movie, but change it.
I feel like that depends on intent.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between, I feel like, piracy and homage,
Oh, yeah, of course.
you know, to a certain degree. And I feel like the way innovation happens is you just take those things that you saw someone else did, and you really do think of how you can just change it, how you can like.
So why do you think all the new movies are bad?
I don't think they're bad.
All of them is a big statement.
Why are 99% of the new movies not even in your top 5?
For me, I think the market is more like for profit rather than giving like the director full control of whatever they want to do. But
Which
then you
makes
also
sense.
have that you don't have.
But then why would that hurt your film? Like, I understand that they want to make money.
Yeah.
But why does that hurt, like, the rating of the film? Why isn't it a top 5 film now?
I feel like to a certain degree, a lot. I feel like this is true, and I guess you could say standard, you know, AAA Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
Is it's a little spineless? Does that make sense?
Yeah. When they're not pushing anything.
Yeah, because when you're pushing for innovation, not just in technique, but in storytelling as well,
Yeah.
you're more open to make risks. That I feel like a lot of like modern day media in general just doesn't want to make.
Yeah.
Now, this is not always true. Like even like I said in Hollywood, there's directors and stuff that try to, you know, push their own differences, right?
Sure.
Sometimes they go a little too far, and that's when you get your stereotypical art house film.
Yeah.
But exactly. But you can tote that line,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I don't know if you see that so much in like standalone anime films anymore. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case with ones with previous IP, but that's because the previous IP has, you know, its own.
Well, that's already pushing something forward.
Its
It's
own
got a
backbone
book
and
or
everything.
something that is tangible that's already been out. Yeah.
Exactly. So, and I feel like in those cases, you do see a lot of like real standouts, right?
Yeah.
That I don't know if I see just on like either original IP or, you know, stuff like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not entirely sure.
Like, do you think it's just an issue now with the film industry in general? Like, if you think about your top 5 movies, like in your brain, is there anything that's newer than fucking 2000?
One.
So yeah. So is this just an issue with the? Is it almost near impossible now to write something new? Is that what we're saying?
No.
Because if the answer is no,
I
then
think
why
it's
isn't
just
there
more
more coming out
saturated.
there? That's true.
That's
There's
part
so
of it.
much coming out
Yeah.
all the time. I think you have to just be really out there to stand out. I'm like, you know what, this movie was
'Cause
weird.
to me, in my mind, the last movie I saw that stood out because of the weirdness would be like Willy's Wonderland, because it's not it's weird in a genre that's normal.
Yeah.
And it pushes the boundaries of, obviously he doesn't speak.
Yeah.
To me, that's unusual. But so I wouldn't put that in my top fucking.
No, I wouldn't
but-
either. But what's weird is I do think there'd be modern films like outside of animation, like modern films that I would put up there. You know, there's like we'll take stuff like Blade Runner 2049, but that's based on a previous IP. We'll push that all the way back.
Throw that away.
Like for me, so recently I watched this movie called Cherry, and it's by the Russo brothers.
Okay.
And I feel like they gave them pretty much like full control. Like, okay, here's the money. Do what the fuck you want to do.
Yeah.
It stars Tom Holland, and blessed be his name. You guys can't see him, but there's a picture up there.
We'll take a picture of it, maybe. It's above our head for some reason.
And it's more of like a slice of life movie. I'm like, oh, here's this kid. He's a little weird. Gets his heart broken. Joins the army.
Okay.
JK, his girlfriend, comes back. He's like, shit, I gotta go to the army anyway because I signed up. Gets fucked up in the army. You know, PTSD shit.
Yeah.
Comes back. Has a hard time readjusting to society. Then he becomes a drug addict.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like just real life to me.
Yeah. But like the way it was shot, it was different.
Yeah.
It was really enticing, and plus with the soundtrack and all the like the music, just perfect
Okay.
to convey like that story and the feelings, and it was a really good movie.
Yeah.
And like I said, like I feel like you see that a lot in live action films. Well, you can find the outliers, right?
Well, of course.
Exactly. It's like there's modern films that I would say are in my favorites now. Take something like No Country for Old Men is something that's up there now for me, and those are now in the 2010s kind of ish era.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just haven't seen enough like newer anime films. Like if I just haven't because obviously there's a sieve. Right?
Sure.
For older stuff, I should say, right?
Yeah.
It's already been.
Yeah, it's already been
So when we were looking for movies, we found this guy's list, top 100. Fuck that guy. Your list is garbage. And he had
wait, what was his number one?
Akira.
Akira.
I saw the same list. Yeah, fuck that.
It made like no sense to me, but it doesn't matter either way. But he had a lot of stuff that was really old that I've never even heard of.
Yep.
Like 70, like movie from 79. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, is it its own IP and shit? I'm like, where did this come from? Which is fine. It's been sieved out of my mind because there's so much shit out there. But I feel like we do, like my list isn't even that long for anime movies. Like if I go through, I'll look at the number real quick.
Yeah.
I have 73 entries, and I can bet you about 40 of them are probably TV movie ones.
Yeah.
I think that's what they're mostly doing, unless they release.
I think that's the majority.
Original ones, and we just don't get them.
Yeah, there's that too.
Because I've been trying to watch more of the original stuff. Because so we watched this week the My Words Bubble Up Like Soda Pop.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, that's a new one I never even knew were coming. But if you go under my anime list and you see like the movies,
it normally
there's
tells
like
you
5 or 6 movies that come out a season.
Yeah.
And I'd say maybe 2 of them are probably TV show movies. But you're like, there's a lot of coming out, but it's like it just doesn't get talked about like TV shows are, unless it's like a standout like Your Name is nowadays. Like, because that's so popular that it's heard of.
Or it comes from a popular IP like the Demon Slayer movie.
Oh yeah. But I feel like there's just not a lot of standalone that's either talked about or even pushed.
Yeah.
Like,
I think they're going more towards like live action adaptations.
They're trying.
So. Yeah.
I mean, but then again, this is I think we've talked about this before. The idea of like just Japanese cinema is not super big, right? And most of the standouts you see in the West are animated.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general. I mean, I think we talked I think we mentioned this. I can't really think of any like live action Japanese films that I know off the top of my head.
That
I think
isn't old.
yeah, and I mean there's a couple I know because they're infamous.
Yeah. Like what?
I think just Korea just overpowered them, and they're just like shit.
Well, I think they don't try to push their thing. Is a weird thing.
Yeah, it doesn't change
because they push their. I'd say they push their anime and their TV dramas.
Yeah. I mean,
And
fuck,
that's
man.
it.
I think I know more Bollywood movies than I know like Japanese ones.
Yeah, I probably agree with that. But that's what I'm wondering is like the industry just whack over there.
I
But
don't know.
why would that hurt? Because obviously the anime industry is the biggest because Japan, whatever.
Yeah.
But you think that there's so many shows coming out that they could adapt like a movie for something that's like in that genre.
I don't know. I just don't. I don't because the problem is I don't understand how their industry fully works.
Yeah.
Like so, I don't know where more money is.
Yeah.
Because you have these top tier studios, right? But the majority of them are dedicating themselves
To shows.
to shows.
Well, I think the shows have more product agency.
Yeah.
Where they can do more figures,
Yeah.
more DVD sales. Where if you do a movie, you have an hour and a half to portray a really good movie to make characters that you try to sell figures or
whatever
for,
merchandise for. Yeah.
Yeah.
which I think is probably really hard to do.
Yeah.
And I do wonder if all the new movies are smaller
Studios.
studios.
Or, I mean, a lot of the standouts also are just like big names, right? Big names that have made a name for themselves in the industry. For instance, I mean, your name in Makoto Shinkai, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the only reason he probably got any budget to make whatever he did for Your Name is because of the movies he did previously, right? And I feel like I think that's another big thing too. Because I mean, even then, I'm like trying to think of like directors off the top of my head. Because I mean, there's not so many. There's no household names. In Japan that might be different, right?
Well, probably.
I don't know, right?
We don't live there, so we don't know.
It's the problem of being, on the other side of an ocean, right? Things get lost. So I don't know what becomes household names in a place, especially in this compared to, the little that leaks through to the other side, right?
Yeah.
Where the only people you really, know very well are people like Makoto Shinkai or Hideaki Anno, Hayao Miyazaki, right? Satoshi Kon, which we all have a movie of, stuff like that makes it through. And there might be others. There's a few writers I can think of in my head. I mean, there's a lot of movies by Maria Okada that I like a lot. We haven't seen Makia, but I heard Makia is really good. I think Whisker Away is also hers. Obviously,
I thought you saw Makia like at the plane.
No, we couldn't watch it.
I watched it.
Well,
Did you not watch it?
I didn't watch it.
I watched it.
Because we watched it from Germany. I definitely
No,
watched
I didn't see it. You told me about it like afterwards, and I didn't watch
I
it.
thought, okay.
No, I didn't watch Makia.
I swear I watched it.
I think Cam did.
Because I feel like we watched it, or we were watching on the plane. Because I also put on your favorite movie, the new Hellboy. Cause
See, that was different. But I don't remember watching Makia.
Okay.
She's also famous for doing Anohana.
I do say Maki as a movie.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's very.
I don't know. So
Just weird.
Slow. It's a slow burn.
Yeah.
yeah. And then you do see, I mean, there's the name of Ghibli tied to anything, right?
Yeah.
You get things like The Mary and the Witch's Flower,
God tier movie.
Mirai.
Mirai,
was
Mirai's,
also another one tied to that. Which they're decent. They're decent films.
They're okay. I'd say
They're okay.
just some of those movies just kind of end in weird spots.
I just don't know why it's so hard to find something that just like.
Well, I do
hits.
wonder if the industry, as we said, is pushed more towards anime. So anime is a long form thing where you're probably pushing out what's 12 2 divided. It's
Like 20 minutes.
4
Yeah,
4 hours.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's just harder for them to narrow down their writing into 2 hours, maybe maximum. Because most of them, when they write, they're like, well, it's adaptation. Normally, have a light novel, a book, or something is what a normal anime is. I do wonder if most movies are standalone material.
I don't always think that's true.
No, that's why I'm just wondering if they are.
For instance,
I have no clue.
we watched that one movie by Masaki Yusa, right?
the
Night is Short, Walk On Girl.
One day I'll remember the name of that movie.
That's based on a novel.
Oh, okay.
As it's I guess you say spiritual ancestor, which is the Tatami Galaxy.
Yeah.
Which is written by novel by the same author.
Okay.
They're not connected, which I learned.
Oh, okay. So they are.
On Netflix or what?
It's on
Yeah.
HBO.
Yeah. So I mean, they're separate novels, but they're by the same guy. So obvious, same person. Might be girl. I should look at that better. But
Non-binary. We'll
Sure.
go with that.
But there's obviously that's why there's interlinking characters and interlinking and style and everything's the same. But that's based on a novel. Something like Penguin Highway is also based on a novel. I'm trying to think of others off the top of my head.
What's that shitty Ghibli movie that just came out?
Shit.
Earwig and the Witch.
Yeah, Earwig.
And like I feel like they try to
like
be, revolutionary or whatever, try to just be different, and it was just.
I thought it was a good idea.
It just didn't hit.
I thought it was a good idea, but I think the real issue is that it's a half a movie. Because it was like, oh, here's all the build up
For nothing.
Here's the mother. End the movie. And you're like, what? It's like what she was going to bring to the table to me felt more interesting than what I just saw.
Yeah.
Because to me, what that movie was like, most things have an arc. So it was like, here's the movie, the arc's coming, the mother comes, and they end the movie. Arc it down.
I think we talked about this in the Ghibli episode in general. Ghibli doesn't always necessarily have clear story arcs. What it has is, for a lot of its films, is it knows how to hit atmosphere just right.
Yeah.
I believe Kiki's is like that. Spirited Away is like that. I don't feel like they have like very clear, plot arcs as much as they're very like Alice in Wonderland-y, like kinda.
I feel like they still had like an ending.
Yeah.
Where that one didn't end.
Spirited Away was just her trying to get back to her parents or whatever, which is like
she was trying to get him back.
The overall arc.
Yeah.
But in Earwig and the Witch, it's just kind of like
she was adopted,
learning to be
a witch.
A witch, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel,
and then she never became a witch, or she never became with her mother. So it just kind of ended, and you're like,
I think it never hits the atmosphere bits.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. That's just the way I saw it, right? I don't feel like it captures whatever atmosphere it was trying to capture. And then there's no story attached, like even with that as well.
Well, yeah. Well, they never explained why there's witches, what they do in the world. Like
I'm okay without that.
That's
fine.
I know. But you all you need is like a passing throwaway line that can work. Like Kiki's, you had the other fucking witch the pissed off witch that flies. You're like, oh, there's other witches in this world that do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Normally, that's literally what, 2 minutes of the movie?
No, like I said, like there's little things you can do to make the world feel big and lived in and whatever's. Yeah. Like I said, there's a way to. I think a good slice of life is really good at this.
Yeah.
Where you can just take a snippet of this world and it feels lived in and it feels like these characters feel like they exist in this space. And even though there's no clear, just like, bombastic or like epic arc.
Oh, yeah.
You're still seeing this just interesting portion of this person's life.
I always say you don't need to finish the arc, but there's also spots where you don't want to leave it just hanging.
Yeah. And I feel like something like Earwig is just so shallow. Mm-hmm. And and that's the other thing too, right? Is that also the case for other films and stuff like that? Do a lot of them just feel shallow like that? But I don't know.
I just remember a good movie. It's attached to an anime though, but it's a prequel. But it's the Goodbye Kramer prequel movie. That movie is really good by itself.
Huh. Okay.
And that's the reason it came out recently, and it was animation and the story was good.
Because I feel like there is some good stories that have come out recently. Because I'll go through my list that I've like recent. I'll say so. Black Fox is probably one of the recents. I rated it really low. Yeah, it just didn't hit the same.
Well, it was garbage, dude.
We'll skip that one. It's 2019. Yeah, most of the stuff. Oh. Another garbage movies with fucking Godzilla movies. I'm gonna look at you why I say that.
Those are horrible.
It's like this is all new stuff, and that had IP behind it. Yeah, it's all early thousands. I said the newest ones that I think are decent would be obviously Your Name, Eat Your Pancreas.
Did you ever see the one where like it's a couple and then the dude dies in the ocean?
I haven't watched.
Like
I wanted to watch it before I got here.
Ride Your Wave?
Yeah, it's on HBO still.
Yeah.
I really wanted to watch it, but we don't have time. So.
That's another movie though where I feel like the director carries a lot of that as well.
Who's the director of that one?
Masaki Yusa.
Of course. Yes. Why they even ask?
I mean, he's not infallible, right? Because obviously, Tokyo Sinks is not great.
I'd also argue. What? I'd also argue the Walk On Girl is not great. So we might as well review a little bit. So it's on HBO. You can watch it right now. So it's about a girl who's alive.
Okay.
And she goes crazy for one night.
She's not dead. She's alive.
And then she hooks up with her senpai at the end.
Uh-huh.
That's what I got from watching that whole movie, because I have no fucking clue. I would say I was trying to choose my top 5 for the beginning, 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure if those beginning 5 minutes told me the whole story I needed to know.
You fucked up, dude.
He was there too, but I did not fucking.
It's just a crazy slice of life, right? They're just taking a night.
Yeah.
And basically, it's like the end of the school year or whatever's.
Yeah.
And then I think there's like there's someone getting married, and there's friends at this party, right?
Yeah.
And that's where the night starts, right? And it's just there's a character, they just call him the senpai. He doesn't have a name.
Nope.
And
He's pretty funny. I like him.
And then the girl is just the kohai. That's what her name is, or otome or whatever. There's another one, and it's just basically like the senpai just wants to confess to the girl.
Yeah.
And and then just a crazy night happens.
Yeah. Like he's for some reason pantsless throughout like 90% of the movie, and there's always this kid that has a fucking like ice cream cone, and he fucking always jams it. So like the scenes are 90% just like a pointy ice cream cone on his thing.
But it's basically it's like one of those like those comedies that you see is just one night of insanity.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a little bit
it's like a Hangover type of.
Yeah, and then
the colors are out there, the fucking
the animation's out there.
The animation's crazy. They're doing some like weird stances through half the movie. Like I know in the first scenes they're all getting blasted, and I guess for some reason when they get blasted they do like this walk in a circle and they go like this. But imagine if I was like crouched to the floor and they're going wah, wah. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing?
It's just meant to be this insane craziness. And then there's characters like before, like from the Tommy Galaxy, like these like weird supernatural entities that kind of exist and party with them. And it's just this crazy, surreal trip of this guy just wanting to confess his feelings to this girl.
Yeah. Why she just lives on a normal life, not knowing what's going on. She just thinks
trying to like figure herself out.
Yeah. Basically what he did before was he would always like, he'd see her in the same place constantly because, they pass by and he's like, oh, it's coincidence, blah, 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 kind of is, kind of not.
Yeah.
And so he uses that throughout the whole thing to try to basically ask her out. And that's towards the end of the thing. He fucking eats these like really hot food to win
a book
that had her name on it when she was a kid. And then she comes to like, because he was sick at the end, comes to like help him out, and she sees the book and she's like, "Oh, remember this, blah blah." And they're together for some reason.
It's just trippy.
And you're like, wholesome, I guess.
Because I think it made it seem like they kind of had a thing for each other already. It was just one. Yeah, it was just one of those just like it just took absolute insanity to bring it together.
The fucking setup play was weird. Fucking guys come out, put the scaffolding down, do a huge big play.
There was the other guy that was called Underwear Son or whatever. Yeah.
Jesus.
No, he wouldn't change his underwear because he like met some chick and they had like this like touched by fate like moment, and he wouldn't change his underwear until he finds that chick again. He wears like a yukata or whatever the fuck.
It was all in one night.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's so funny. And he has this like run around play that he's like the main character of while he's trying to find this chick.
Yeah.
Who they find out was a dude.
Yep.
Sounds great.
It's great. I mean, it's trippy. It's fun.
I'd say like, if I'll give it a rating, I think it's like a 7.5. Like I think on my anime list it's like 8.5.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there. It's a good movie. It's just very crazy. And if you like blink for 2 seconds, you'll probably be confused.
I feel like that's a lot of his work though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I feel like Devilman Crybaby's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
Tommy Galaxy is very much like that. Ping Pong the Animation's definitely like that as well.
I love that shit.
I gotta watch that.
And oops, that was my bad. But like the things that
keep going.
I can't remember the like what he does is I always feel like it's off the wall. Like Hands Off Eizouken is like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
it's just what he does.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know how Ride Your Wave is. I don't know. That might be very different.
Looks very trippy.
Yeah. And I think he likes those visuals, and that's what he does. But I feel like it's like names like that are the only things that really push their way
forward
over to here.
I don't know, because to me that was trippy.
But
it's not a fucking. It's not a huge movie.
But then again, I don't think 5.
That's
one of those films in its time that came over here and did that was probably a film. Especially, you can tell, especially when a movie doesn't really have a dub, which I don't know if that one does, and I don't know if it could. Because I think it has the same like Monogatari problem. Also the same problem of the movie we just watched, which is the problem of wordplay.
I mean, even with Ride Your Wave, the HBO subtitles were off, and they were kind of weird at the same time.
Well, that I don't know if it's just, the service, but you can hear it still. I mean, even if you don't know the language, you can kind of hear what's going down.
Yeah, you can hear the words sounding similar enough that you're like, the subtitles are way different, but the words sound damn close. So I can't tell you what
and
they
stuff
just
like
said.
that. And there's different playing of meanings and stuff because there's.
How'd you rate that movie?
All these nuances. Which one?
Which one?
The one we just watched.
I'd give it like a 7.
I think it's a 7.
I don't know what the fuck what's it called.
Words bubble up like soda pop. I like the name for the movie. I think it's a good name.
It's a good name.
Words bubble up like soda pop.
I was looking at the
pretty.
It's very pretty.
So I'm so confused why what was it, like 10-year anniversary for
50.
something? No. For the studio.
10th year Flying Dog?
Yeah, but it's not even on here under studios. It's Signal MD and Sublimation.
Man, I don't know.
Because like there's
then.
studios that I've seen before. Like they did the MMO Junkie, Mars Red.
Yeah.
So they've done stuff, but I have no clue who that studio was. If it was a studio, maybe it's like their original studio and they got bought out.
Or it could have been just, it might have been something with the area. It takes place in Oda.
Maybe that's what it is.
So it seemed like it was just like an ad for a town.
Yeah, it has that feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I thought it was a fine movie because we might as well talk about it since it's the newest thing on Netflix. Because I think they just came out with it, so I don't know if it went in theaters.
It probably did. Maybe.
Let's see what year it came out technically.
It's probably in
2021.
It just came out.
It just came out. It might be just right to U.S. Netflix.
This what, March? Oh,
no, just movie. Movie 2021. So whatever month that is. I don't want to sit here and copy and paste it. It comes out. It aired July 22nd, 2021.
So
it just
straight to Netflix.
Straight to Netflix.
2 days ago.
Yeah, so it's basically the brand new thing. I thought it was a fine film. I thought the characters were pretty likable. I wish there was more explaining on like the boys' half of like why he didn't like loud sounds or why he talks via haiku. I do have a complaint about haikus, whatever.
Haikus.
I hate haikus. They're just gay boys hitting volleyballs in a word pattern that doesn't make sense to me. Why it's nice.
I see what you did there.
So why are haikus so popular? Because it's just words that you're doing by syllable, right?
Yeah, it's 575.
Yeah. You just put a bunch of words. To me, they just don't sound great.
I don't know.
Maybe it sounds great in Japanese.
Yeah. No. I just mean like period as like a media or as a form of art. It's not my favorite. I just don't understand.
I think it's, I don't know in English if it gets lost in translation or stuff.
I'm sure it does.
But I feel like it has to do with the nuances of the Japanese language.
No, are you talking about the movie?
No. I mean in general.
Okay.
Like haikus in general are based on the nuances. Because the way, even in the film, right, how he has a dictionary just to find stuff to work there because of seasons and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the appeal.
Okay.
The appeal is the idea of being able to manipulate this language to capture meanings of things or ideas or seasons in a certain way that is only possible with the nuances of that language.
Because I always, I remember somewhere in elementary, I remember we were taught it. Yeah. And it just never really made sense to me. I don't understand why this is good.
Because I don't think it's a format that lends itself to the English language.
Okay.
It just doesn't do it. I mean, another example that I like is, for instance, we'll take the Divine Comedy, right?
Sure.
The Divine Comedy is written in terza rima in Italian.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times it's been tried to be translated, it's impossible to keep that scheme in English.
Which makes sense.
Because there's just so many more words that rhyme in a Latin-based language than English. And I mean, I feel like that's the beauty of different languages and stuff like that as well. It's there's
different flow words.
Yeah, there's different like ideas and concepts behind the language that gets lost. But, you know, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, this is my complaint about the
just haikus in general.
I said the film was fine. I thought it was a good idea how they used the haikus as like his mental relief to life. But there's one character that made no sense to me in this whole film. Was why is that little kid not arrested in jail?
Oh, Beaver?
Yeah.
Fucking delinquent.
The delinquent that fucking tagged everything and always uses the wrong word.
Steals, writes in Spanish on Twitter. That character made no goddamn sense.
I just
He's
thought
just a strange character. He's just supposed to be a goofy side character.
Yeah. That kid should have been dead. In that scene when he jumped from the second story of that mall?
The third story.
Third story, bro. That kid was dead.
Like, he landed that skateboard. You saw he's, like, shook all the way up. I'm like, his knees.
He's like, you just snapped your Achilles tendon, didn't you?
Femur's gone, dude. I don't know.
Your ACL torn.
And the fat,
you need a new meniscus.
And fat Japan dude. Japan, or whatever they call it.
Everyone's names. I feel like it's almost on purpose though, because it's obvious. It's, you know, because the names are, I think, also concepts in and of themselves.
Well, I thought some of them were fine. So I thought Smile was good. I thought it was a cute name for it, and I thought Cherry Boy was pretty funny because his name's Sakura. And then
now it makes
Japan
sense.
Didn't make sense to me.
Beaver
didn't make sense to me. Tough Boy I thought was fine. I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
I can't remember some of the others, but
I just thought the naming schemes were like half are really good and half are like make no sense at all to me.
Part of me wonders if it's just a lost in like
in translation.
No, I think Beaver is because of the hair. I really think it's because of that hairstyle. So? That hairstyle he has. I think it's for that one. The other one, I don't know where Japan's. I don't know if I missed something.
He's Japanese.
Maybe it's a word.
They're all Japanese.
Maybe it's a wordplay I just didn't get.
As I said, I think this movie. I wonder if this movie is way better if you understand the language.
Yeah,
probably.
Because I think it's a good movie. The story arc was fine. The characters were good. It's just there's a lot of wordplay that I'd sit there and I'm like, those words sounded the same, but the subtitles were totally different, and I don't know what it means.
That's how I feel when I watch Monogatari sometimes, because it's the exact same way.
What was the other? Subtitles were ass on this one. There's too much white.
Yeah.
It was like white on white, and they didn't use enough black.
You couldn't even read it, and you're like, okay, I'm just going to squint, and hopefully I get it.
I just look at the character's face, I'm like...
The whole movie hurt my eyes. I couldn't read the subtitles. It was so bright.
I didn't mind the bright. The only colors I didn't like was the yellow. I can deal with all the other bright colors, but that yellow that they used was something else. That really bothered me, was the yellow. Everything else was fine.
I don't think our eyes are meant to see things super saturated for long periods of time.
My poor eyes.
So I didn't mind it. And so the only other animation scene I had issue was there were certain scenes where they would move the camera like it was a person moving it, but it would stutter. I don't know if that was animation stutter via like the internet or if that's how they drew it. Because there's only a few times I saw it, I'm like, oh god.
Would you have preferred in the opening series where she's like holding the camera and like videotaping herself?
Shaky as fuck.
if the shot was like shaky?
I don't know if I would have preferred it. I mean, even if there's... Because you can hold your hand, I think, fairly steady, but there's still a little bit.
Well, yeah, you still have a little
If that
sway.
little bit was there, I'd be, whatevers. It'd be okay.
Yeah.
No, obviously, I mean, I hate shaky cam, like, in general.
I picture the scene would be like, hey, guys, how you doing? It's like the animation's like
doing this.
It'd be like fucking watching Cloverfield all over again.
Fuck that movie.
Oh, my gosh. But, yes. I don't know. I mean, I do appreciate when like films adopt like cinematic techniques.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, when we watched Hathaway, there was a lot of that in there as well. I appreciated quite a bit of those. This had some of those movements, and I feel like I think it's just a good when they use CG animation
Yeah.
when you get stuff like that.
It was well animated.
Yeah, it was very well. It was very well
I
animated.
think the animation was fine. So character designs were
not
fine.
watch again.
I probably won't watch again.
No.
But there's most movies I wouldn't watch again anyway. Like through my list, probably not.
I'd watch quite a few of those again.
Would you?
Like from
I
your
just don't
top
watch,
5,
yeah.
you wouldn't watch them
I
again?
just don't like watching things over again.
I'd watch some of those again.
Because I've watched Ghost in the Shell a shit ton of time. Your
Uh-huh.
name, let me go through my list.
Your Name, I think I've seen it twice.
I mean, there's a couple I'd understand, if I don't watch them in a long time.
I guess
but-
I've seen most of them.
It's not like I'm going to watch them every day like
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim, but
Yeah.
like these every now and then I'm like, it's been a year, I should watch it again.
Yeah,
I'd say the
exactly.
2 movies I haven't watched multiple times, like a lot, would be Red Line and Ava. Those
Oh, the
movies-
rebuilds? I've
yeah.
seen the rebuilds a few times.
Have you?
Yeah,
He owns them.
I do own them. And I've seen End of Evangelion a couple times.
Yeah.
That one's a little rougher to get through.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that's more the issue with like.
that one's a little rougher to
I
get
think it's more the issue with the darker stuff. It's like I don't want to just sit through sadness again. That I already know
Yeah.
what the sadness is.
Same with Perfect Blue.
Yeah.
That's another one, too, that
It was rough.
I mean, it's rough, but it's such a good movie that I'll sit through it again.
That one has to be like a couple of years. I'm like,
It's like going
I'm in the
through
mood for it.
it's like going through like Parasite again. It's the
Yeah.
same vibe.
Yeah. Fuck that.
I would watch it again if I was showing it to someone.
Yeah.
Then I would watch
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
now on my own, like, I feel like watching Parasite. I'm like, nah.
Nah.
I think that's more
Never.
the thing is if I rewatch stuff, it's normally with someone. I'd be
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, you haven't seen this? You should watch it."
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like, "Oh, I haven't seen, or I've seen this movie like 16 times. Do I want to watch it again, or should I catch up on something?" It's like
It
I
depends
probably
on the
should catch up.
movie. I hate when you're trying to watch some movie with someone and they're like, "Oh, I've already seen it, but you haven't seen it." And I'm like, "What's the point if you've already seen it? I don't want to have someone sit through the same movie twice."
See, to me, I'd rather.
I think that depends on the movie.
It depends on the movie, but most movies you're not gonna sit through it twice. I'm like, I haven't
Yeah.
seen this one.
I think it matters for me. It matters if I want to show it off. Like if it's a really good movie and I've seen it and you haven't, I'll make you watch it. If I'll just do something else while I'm watching it.
Well, it depends, right? Because there's some movies that obviously I think are better on the second run through than the first, but
Sure.
that's rare an occasion.
I'm gonna say it's very slim. I'd say even in
that's when
my.
you notice, I'm like, oh yeah, that's all
exactly.
these hints.
Yeah.
It was right here. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But you got anything else on anime movies? Anything else we want to
I
talk
don't
about?
think so. Well, I don't even think if there's any new ones that are coming out that I can.
Think of?
End of Evangelion, couple weeks.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
there
true.
it
In
is.
I'm
August.
excited for
Yeah.
that. Hopefully, it's not shit.
Hopefully, I mean, it made a lot of money, but that's its name, right? Who knows?
Yeah,
Who
it
knows
looks
if-
pretty.
It looks very pretty.
I do want to talk about one movie that I know you saw,
Which one?
The Hunt.
Oh god, that movie was ass, dude. It's so shitty.
So I don't understand the controversy behind this movie. I watched it. I totally forgot there was a controversy because I remember you said, "Oh, The Hunt's on here." I'm like, "Oh, cool. I'll watch it. Sure, why not?" So I watched it. It is like the first, I'd say. Okay, first 5 minutes are garbage, and then after that, the next 10 minutes are pretty funny.
I was gonna say I like the first 5 minutes where they just ran,
When they're
All
on the
the
plane
random-
and the fucking.
and then they get to the box and then they open
No,
it.
no. I love from the box onwards.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
that.
The plane to me is garbage.
I fuck that fuck.
Waste that scene.
That's the like when they get on the floor. and
Yeah,
then-
that to me is
yeah.
probably the best scene. So
Yeah.
everyone wakes up and they're all gagged with like a bone or something, and they can't take it off until they find this box with a key. So they find the box, they unlock themselves, they pull out, and there's tons of weapons in there. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe it's like a weird Hunger's Game thing for half a second, where they have to kill each other. And they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And you see, I think it's this girl. So you're like, oh, she's the main character because they're following her.
Roberts is in that movie.
That's true. So you think it's like this girl's the main character, blah, blah, blah. Because she like unlocks and they're all happy. She fucking just gets murked. And you're like,
You know that guy that was helping her?
yeah.
So he's the Green Arrow in the Smallville series.
Oh, no shit.
I'm like, I know
That's
this
so
guy.
Yeah. So then that guy becomes the main character.
I thought
like,
he was the main
yeah.
character.
So he's
yeah.
like hiding behind the box. He's like, oh shit, she died. He watches somebody else die, but he runs in like the same pattern. He survives. He helps this girl out.
Bro, that's so this girl falls into a pit
Yeah.
And so she stabbed.
It's probably like in the stomach-ish.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I got you. They pulled her out, right? Yeah. I'm like, nah, this bitch is dead.
I just leave her.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're dead.
Yeah,
it's like Cloverfield. Yeah, same thing happens.
Yeah. So they pull her out and they start running into the thing. I'm like, oh, he saved her. He steps on a landmine, blows up. She gets thrown back into the pit. And there's this guy that you're like, this is the main character.
And he's just like, kill me. Like, nah, I don't want to kill you. And she steals the gun from the dude, shoots it herself.
She's like, don't shoot yourself. Don't shoot yourself. Fuck you, Snowflake. And blows her plane out. And he's like, no. And then they run, hop over a fence. And they're like, oh, we're safe now. And they go into like this gas station. And there's like an old couple there. One person eats the food, they get poisoned, they die. They pull out shotguns and they blow the people. And you're like, there goes that main character. And then another girl comes out, you're like, she's not the main character. She's the main character. Worst main character. She is by far garbage. Her acting was like a fucking board.
I don't know what the fuck her deal was.
She was just like, pissed off
she was like,
constantly.
She was pissed off, or like she was trying to be funny at the same time.
Yeah, she was pissed off about what was going on. And then she would have like funny moments that were in a pissed off motion, and you're like, I don't know where you're trying to be. And then like the ending, it's like, oh my god,
where do you get off?
It's like
pretty much.
When she gets there with the old people, they're like, oh, where am I? Like, oh yeah, you're in Arkansas, honey, or whatever. And then like, oh, what's the gas prices here? Blah 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 blah. And then that's when she like kills the old man, punches the old lady. Yeah, and then she's like. Oh, the gas prices in Arkansas are so and so. Got you, bitch. And they killed him. I was like, what? What are these lines?
I give this movie
a 4.
Wow. I was going to give it a 2.
You're like, wow, that's generous.
You blew my mind what you just said there. And then I finally finished High Rise Invasion.
Oh, nice.
Took me this long.
3 months.
Probably longer, because I stopped at episode like 10, and I'm like, I'm almost done with it. I'll finish it soon, and then blanked out. Finally ended. It doesn't end, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like a season 1. It's a 6.5. It's not bad, not great. There's some really good scenes. It's very ecchi, very ecchi. Like not nudity, but there's always like scenes where it's like the girl's fucking shirt's like ripped open for some fucking reason or some weird shit.
Gratuitous fan service.
Dude, it's like the dang nasty show this season.
Oh, I gotta watch
the first 5 seconds. Titties. Yeah. Literally the first shot. I'm like, what?
If you have High Dive, uncensored.
I watched it uncensored.
There you go.
Yep.
Well, on like a porn website, because I've also seen it on porn websites.
Go Anime.
Oh, that makes sense too. Yeah.
I didn't know it was an uncensored or censored version.
Nothing. We're gonna continue there. He didn't say anything.
It's fine. It don't matter.
I didn't say anything. What? No. Crunchyroll.
High Dive. You said High Dive, right?
Yeah. High Dive, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, buy our stickers.
Buy their stickers.
Okay. Let's see. So, support us. We're on Spotify. Everything else, I'm almost on Apple.
Nice.
I had to do something.
Amazon Podcast.
We're almost on Amazon Prime Podcasts. Check out our Instagrams, blah, blah. I feel like there's something I'm missing.
Comment, subscribe.
Don't forget, next week, we're going to... this will be the first movie I'll see in theaters. We're doing
forever?
We're doing our Nicolas Cage Part 3 podcast.
Oh, we're going to watch Pig.
We're going to go see Pig if it's in theaters. We should actually
write them.
We probably should do that.
Yeah.
We'll probably watch Pig and maybe the other 2 on HBO if you want to watch it on your free time.
Yeah, I'll do that. Fuck watching all those movies on one day.
No. I think we watch Pig and watch the other 2.
I don't.
So that'll be next week.
Yep.
And you'll be hosting the Nicolas Cage Part 3 podcast.
That's how we're going to open these.
The fucking Con Air opening.
Okay, the thumbnail is just going to be you.
Just 3 of him in different shots. Anyway, thanks for watching our OVA number 2. We'll probably have your OVA number 3 maybe next week unless we finish our set.
It'll get finished eventually.
It'll get finished eventually.
I say next week we're either there or it'll be the week after. It'll be on season 2 maybe.
Well, thank you guys for watching. See ya.
Bye-bye.